Someone once remarked that on seeing Winnipeg, that it sure ain't Paris. However, it does have an extensive entry in Wikipedia. Among its many cultural achievements is that the Winnipeg Bear is the inspiration for Winnie the Pooh. One of the problems when discussing murders in the West Country is that most viewers have never heard of some of the places, let alone visited them. But West Charlton could easily be described as in the middle of nowhere. It has no Wikipedia entry, and the nearest town is Kingsbridge in South Devon, which is just over 6,000 souls. The May family had been at Stoke Farm since 1840. They could be described as the pillars of the community, and members of the family were active in the church as well as the local hockey club. On the night in question, the father had 2 business meetings at the farm that could be described as standard fare. There were no family or neighbour disputes, and the family itself were comfortably well off. But our story centres on a massacre that occurred at Stoke Farm, Croft Park, West Charlton, on the 12th of June 1936 of her mother and her 2 daughters, and the extensive injuries to the father. In addition to the scenes of unbelievable brutality, paraffin had been poured over the house. Over to you, James, to describe this shocking story.
Charlie Lockhart, a live-in servant and gardener to the May family, fetched his coat at 9:30 in the evening and went to a local dance with his friend Bill Warren, which lasted until the early hours of the morning. Bill Warren lived in nearby Kingsbridge, and Charlie Lockhart turned off the main road on his bike to Croft Farm. The significance of this will later be revealed. When he arrived back at 2:45 in the morning, he went into the kitchen and noticed blood seeping through the door of the adjoining upper kitchen, and the place stank of paraffin. He then discovered the first of the victims, the daughter, Gwyneth May, lying in a pool of blood with severe injuries to her head and a deep cut to her shoulder. Her pet spaniel was licking her face. She was still alive, but later died in Kingsbridge Cottage Hospital. Charlie also discovered a fire burning on the ground floor of the house. Charlie sent word to get the local policeman, Constable Muggeridge, who helped put out some of the fire. By this time, others had gathered at the farm, and the flames were extinguished using a human chain of water gatherers. Upstairs, the second daughter, Joan, was found dead outside her bedroom with a fractured skull. In the parents' bedroom, the badly injured father was semi-conscious and lying on the bed. His pyjamas were dirty and charred. His hands containing lampblack smelt of paraffin. Below the bed was the body of his wife, whose skull had been fractured. The means of death is a walling hammer, which combines a hammer and an axe. It had been used by Charlie the previous day, and was missing from its normal storage place. He claimed that he had put it in the kitchen, as he had other duties involving the outhouses. Obviously, he was the first suspect in the case. Charlie and his friend Bill Warren were picked up by the police for interrogation. The main focus was on Charlie, as he was the first to discover the bodies and had access to the murder weapon. The men were made to ride their respective bicycles from the dance to the farm, and the police used stopwatches to monitor the results. It showed that they could not have committed this dastardly deed in time. Witnesses vouched that each had stayed for the duration of the dance. Both were dropped from further inquiries. There was no signs of a forced entry to the property, and anyone with knowledge of the place would have known that the back door was always closed but never locked. It was a bit like putting the house key on a string attached to the letterbox. In any event, no jewellery or cash were missing. Police attention turned to the father. When he was rescued by Constable Muggeridge, he was able to move around and claimed that he needed to be on the farm, as milking started at 5:30 in the morning, and he was expecting some deliveries that day. It is interesting to note that he was questioned by both the police and the family doctor. He could give lucid answers of events until 9:30 of the preceding evening, but after that time his memory failed. Despite a remarkable constitution, his condition deteriorated later in the day, and he was taken to Kingsbridge Infirmary. Later he was sent to a nursing home where he stayed for a few weeks. During that time, he kept asking to see his wife and daughters. In keeping with the fine traditions of British justice, the widower was charged with the murder of his wife and daughters. Much was made of the words of Constable Muggeridge on seeing the father. He commented, "What have you done?" It was claimed that the police had already collared their man. This assertion is not unreasonable, as it was used in the coming years by the Devon Constabulary to new recruits on not cautioning suspects. But the real defence came from the family doctor, who said that the bruises to the jaw were consistent with the defendant being under his bedclothes. The judge directed the jury to acquit the defendant of the murder of his wife. He was then acquitted of the murders of his 2 daughters. Now, John, this is an interesting little tale. What do you make of it?
One of the rumours circulating at the time of the murder was that it resulted from a family dispute over the pregnancy of one of the daughters. This seems highly unlikely, as this would be revealed in the coroner's report. Malicious gossip in a small community, you can never get too much of a good thing. In any trial, nobody comes smelling of roses. In Thomas's May's case, a simple family man was portrayed as a man known for his quick temper and mean with money. In addition, one witness who had known him for years said that lately he had become increasingly shaky and irritable. In 1937, the farm was let to a Suffolk farmer.